Welcome back to Northeast Christian Church on Brownsboro Road alongside Pastor Tamara Brown, who's been really illuminating all of the work that you guys do when it comes to partnerships. We've been talking about the Love the Ville movement, but specifically we're diving into some of the partnerships that you have with schools. I know JCPS and also Oldham County.
Correct.
Talk us through some of that work.
So our school partnerships are the bread and butter of our outreach ministry, and we have partner schools that are close to our campus here at Brownsboro, close to our campus in the Clifton neighborhood, and in West and South Louisville. So we really believe in empowering principals to make sure that they are able to accomplish their dreams and goals for the school. That's what we really want to do. So we want to encourage teachers, teacher appreciation drives. We also want to meet students where they are. That's something we hope to do in the future and grow in, is mentoring students, because I believe every student needs a positive adult other than their parents in their life. My kids have had it, and it takes a village to raise kids.
So what does that look like? Does it look like professionals from the organization going into different schools, volunteering their time and their talents?
It really takes people who love kids to go in and encourage kids, read with kids, help kids do their math. But if you can't do math, it's not your thing. Just the encouragement of, I see you, I hear you, I'm listening to you, and I want you to do the best that you can during this day for school.
So Joann, Dickson, you mentioned the work with principals, and when it elevates from principal to the level of superintendent, you know that you've got a program that's valid and that's really serving the community. Joann Dickson was able to speak with JCPS Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio about exactly what you've been talking about, the value of these partnerships and the importance of them. So let's check in with Joann to see how the superintendent is looking at these partnerships.
A big part of what the Love the Ville movement is all about is, of course, giving back to our schools. And we are here at Chansey Elementary School with JCPS Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio. Now, Dr. Polio, can you just tell us a little bit about kind of right now, what are some of the needs like for most schools?
Yeah, well, I think the needs that most schools have are really centered around the needs of the students. So I think it's really important, first of all, that we talk about what schools have to deal with on a regular basis, even pre-pandemic, in order to support the needs of our kids. So unfortunately in our community, nearly 70% of our students now are free and reduced lunch. So many of our students are coming with food insecurities on a regular basis, and the meals that they get happen to be here at school. So we served 11 million meals over the pandemic. But even more so, we have over 6,000 homeless students. We have about 12,000 English learner students in JCPS, 13,000 special needs students. And so on top of that, through the pandemic, there has been such a need for mental health supports for our kids, emotional supports. Sometimes the best relationship they have are with those that are at school. So being out of school has been a challenge. And so really it's around how can we support the students in our schools, how can we wrap our arms around them so that they have the ability to learn. And all too often schools have been asked to solve all the problems that we have in society around poverty, childhood needs, and things like that. And really schools can't do it alone. You know, we have kids for 7 or 8 hours a day, 175 days out of the year. We need the community to be in support of all of these wraparound services, so to speak, that kids need.
Absolutely, and I can imagine too, if a child's struggling with just those basic things, it's really hard to learn and to concentrate if you're hungry or you're scared about stuff going on. So that really is so important. Yeah,
without a doubt. And so I was a principal for 10 years in JCPS high schools, and you could stand at the front door and see kids walking in, and when they walked in to a school and they had gone through trauma, some type of emotional trauma at home, violence in their community. We know there's a rise in violence throughout our community. And that impacts children. That's happening at homes and in the streets right around where our children are. And so if they come to school and those needs aren't met, then it's going to be very difficult for them to learn. Absolutely. And so besides just like needs, I think it's always important to kind of dream big. Like, what are some kind of dream list things for JCPS schools? Well, I think, you know, it's whether we look at the macro level or the micro level. I mean, what I always say is anytime the more adults, the more active adults we have in a school building who are just volunteering to help out kids, the more successful they're going to be. And so all too often we have certain schools with very large PTAs and the parents are being involved, and that's a part of positive school culture. But we have other schools, especially schools with high poverty, who don't have nearly the membership in the PTAs or the support financially that they might need. And so at that micro level at the school, I mean, it is just people being involved, volunteering at the school, helping out, supporting classroom teachers, an extra person in the classroom, or just doing things at the school level to support putting on a fair or a field day or some type of activity that the school really needs volunteers for. So, that's a big thing. Obviously, school supplies and helping students who may not have those things is a huge thing as well. And then at the macro level, once again, I'll go back to, our wish list as a school district, and I think as a nation, is to give kids what they need to learn. To be successful, to give them, I think that when we look, we should as a community say that 70% of our kids in this community qualifying for free and reduced lunch, and the childhood poverty that we have in our community is something we have to say is unacceptable. And therefore, everybody has to stand up and say, what are we going to do to eliminate that, to eradicate that, to pitch in and do the things we need to support children.
Coming up, we're going to learn more about the recent school blitz and find out some ways that you can help give back to our schools.